Hey, good morning and welcome to Breakthrough Walls. I am Ken Walls and I'm your host. And I have a really special guest on today. This guy is I'm going to let him tell you his story. So this dude's a rock star, though. I want to welcome my fairly new buddy, Dave Ferguson, to the show. Welcome, Dave.
Hey, Ken, glad to be here, man. Thanks.
Glad to have you here.
Yeah,
we had some technical challenges but we faced them, man, took them down.
Yeah, good old tech.
So good morning to Cindy Hurley. Good morning. So Dave, I created this show. I don't know. I've interviewed about 250 celebrities and entrepreneurs, and I've done it for a little over 2 years now. I started this to help people get unstuck. And probably for some selfish reasons. I think I was a little stuck at the time myself. And so I truly believe that by hearing other people's stories of how they've faced hardships and overcame them, and I just think that we all grow from that. So I'm excited to have you on here. I know you've had your own challenges in life. So let's start with where you were born and raised.
Well, all right. So, hey, I'm glad to be here. Thank Ken, and thanks for having me. And I like your story, which is one of the reasons I wanted to connect with you as we are now. So thanks.
Yeah.
I was born Eastern Long Island.
Oh.
I'm
still here, by the way. I forgot to tell you I'd give you full screen every now and then.
Yeah. Thanks. I like that. I like that, I think. I was born a poor kid in Eastern Long Island. And right on the tip of the Hamptons. So if you know anything about the Hamptons, I grew up with a lot of envy. Yeah.
That's where all the rich people live, isn't it?
Yeah, but there's some poor people in there, right in it and around it, and so, I feel like that's kind of where I was.
Yeah.
And, like I said, I grew up with a lot of envy. And, as I say often, envy, you either succumb to envy or you grow through it. And
right.
I was blessed to grow through it.
So we're going to talk about the elephant in the room here in a minute. My buddy Brian Hess is on here. He's reading 2 of John Maxwell's books right now.
Great book.
Yeah. So no, I don't know anything about Long Island or the Hamptons personally. Obviously I've heard of the Hamptons, but so you grew up in a poor family.
I did. I grew up in a poor family. I lost my my biological father when I was 6.
Oh, wow.
Had really never met him until his funeral.
Oh, geez.
So for me, that was a defining moment in my life. I was one of 6 kids. I still am one of 6 kids. My mom's deceased now. I had a stepdad who is deceased as well. And so, things were interesting as kids. I grew up in that circumstance, but there was so much wealth around me.
Yeah.
And so I became so motivated by money.
Really?
Yeah, I became so motivated by money. Like I was a hustler as a kid. Like, I like to say, how people say they were born in, they were dirty, or I forget the term really, but I always say I was kind of like, I started out quicksand, and so I had to crawl out. And that's where that whole envy piece came, because I did have a lot of envy and I wanted different things in my life and I wanted more. And there was something there really early that sparked me. In my book, I say it was around 10, but part of me thinks it was a little earlier, but 10 was really where I could remember it happening.
Yeah.
So I became a hustler, man. Like I was up early, like I still am today. And I was the first kid out on the street shoveling snow, raking lawns, shopping for older people, just a hustler. So I always had money in my pocket. It was such a driver for me early on in my life.
I love that, man. I have a similar story. And for those of you in the South that don't understand, snow is this white slippery stuff that falls out of the sky and people hate it laying on their sidewalk. So you were out hustling, going door to door, selling snow shoveling services.
Oh, whatever, man. I would do it. Whatever it took, I would do it. I just felt like to change my circumstances, I had to take control. And like I say in my book, around 10, I really realized while I had people that loved me around me, it was all up to me.
Yeah. Yeah. So when did your mother pass away?
My mom passed away. It'll be 8 years. It'll be 8 years.
Oh, okay. So recently, I got you.
Yep.
So as a kid, though, you lost your biological father at 6 years old. 10 years old, you had this epiphany that you needed to take control of your life. And what happened from there? What was school like? Did you do well in school? Were you?
I was a good student. I was kind of an average student at the beginning. You know, and then it upgraded. Like I upgraded. I was popular. I was my senior class president, and
oh wow,
so I was involved. I was a fairly decent athlete, and I was semi-popular. I think I actually got voted. I don't remember. Maybe I got voted most popular or something. I don't remember. But it's funny because we had our reunion scheduled for May 15th, actually.
Oh wow.
And so we just had to reschedule it. So I've kind of been running that with a committee of people. It's been kind of fun. But yeah, I did okay in school.
Did you go to college?
I did go to college. I went to a 2-year school, got my associate's degree, and then I actually joined the Air Force.
Wow.
And I just, man, that was one of, you know, there's different stages in your life that you look back at and you go like, wow. Okay, I did that for financial purposes, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
I couldn't afford to pay for college. By the way, I had become a father while I was in my 2-year college. So I now had a family to take care of, but I was still very, very driven. Like I had to get that 4-year degree. And what I figured out is that when I went and talked to the services, and the Air Force offered me this pretty amazing program for me, I scored really high on the test. I did well. I did well in training. And I got I was number 1 in my class. I got my first choice of bases. So I chose Andrews, the presidential base. And I did that for a couple of reasons. Of course, who wouldn't want to work on that, you know, small presidential base and be so close to all of that?
Yeah.
But also there were so many universities around there that the Air Force had relationships with.
Yeah.
So it allowed me to go to University of Maryland while I was performing my duties in the Air Force. And technically really not have to pay. So, you know, I was lucky to come out my 4-year degree and not have any debt, not any college debt. My debt was to the country, which I served it and I loved it.
Yeah.
Honestly, I got to tell you, I almost stayed.
In the Air Force.
I almost stayed. I had, you know, a lot of opportunity in front of me. I loved it. It didn't really feel like a job. I was around some great people. I had access to some great people and some great leaders, you know, if we talk about leadership. And I just, I had, my degree was in economics and finance, and I had a really good opportunity. Someone connected me to a really great opportunity. So I ended up choosing it. No regrets, but I easily could have stayed in the Air Force and loved it for 20 or so years. Still have a lot of friends from that world.
So when you were in the Air Force, did you did you ever like get into partying when you were like did none of that?
No, I had a good time.
Oh, okay.
I mean, I had a good time, but I was focused. You know, I was Airman of the Year one year.
Wow.
I was like really focused. And they wanted me to stay in, and it was a challenge. No, I was focused. I had some fun.
Yeah.
I kept busy, you know, but I was also, you know, really into health and fitness at that point too. So,
yeah,
you know, it was a balance, but yeah, I had a lot of fun. And DC is like you know, we'd go to Georgetown. I mean, you know, right. Andrews is right there. It's like, you know, I'm not sure I live there now, but back in the, you know, in the early 80s, it was fun.
Yeah. Cindy says, thank you for your service. I second that.
Thank you.
So what happened after you got out? So you spent what, 4 years in the Air Force?
I spent 4 years. I was a program called Bootstrap. I served some time in the Guard after that. Actually, out in Hamptons at West Hampton Air Force Base.
Okay.
No longer there now, but now it's more of a private, you know, it's for Learjets and Gulfstreams now.
Yeah.
Yep. I served my my time out there as well on weekends.
Okay.
You know, and I started in the finance arena. I won't mention the name. I don't like to mention the names of the organizations. I just don't think it's right. But I worked for I worked 21 years for two pretty big financial giants. And
Really?
man, I've just been blessed because I always felt like I was kind of this average, mediocre kid, you know? And I think that just has to do with my upbringing, but I kept getting blessed stage after stage after stage. Now, I'm a hard worker, man. I will do whatever it takes.
Yeah.
But, man, I've always had that blessings supporting me, right?
Yeah.
Whatever your belief is, you know, obviously I wear my faith on my sleeve, you know, but I just believe God has been behind me always.
Yeah.
Even in the tough times, there was lessons in those. And so, you know, yeah, becoming a father at 19, man, I had to make a decision. What was I going to do to take care of my family, right?
So you were married?
I did end up getting married. Yeah, very short time, but yes, I did the right thing. You know, I did the Catholic thing, right?
Yeah.
And I realized I had to do it. So here's what I had to come off course of. Okay, you're not going to go 2 more years of college. You're going to get in the Air Force and do it that way.
Right.
But I never gave up. And
Wow.
That's the message that I have to folks that I coach all the time is, all right, maybe you didn't hit this goal right now, but you can still hit it. It's similar to me. Like I had a goal that I was going to be completely debt-free, no mortgages, nothing when I was 50. And you have to remember, I owned a bunch of investment properties too. So that's not as easy as it sounds.
Right.
I missed it at 50 because of the economic, you know, that's 8 years ago, by the way. I'm 50. I just celebrated my 58th birthday.
Wow, man.
You're
58?
Just turned 58 a few weeks ago. Yeah.
Wow. Good for you.
Thanks, man. Blessed again. I'm blessed again, right? Like I'm telling you, I don't take any credit for it. Yeah, I work hard, but he pushes me every single day to try to be healthy.
That's awesome.
So yeah, I mean, it's like I didn't hit it at 50, but I hit it at 51. I could have quit. Right. And so, you know, it's just that whole, like I write about it in my book on perseverance. Like you got to persevere.
So let's back up though. Now we're almost to your current age.
Oh, thanks. Wow,
that happened fast, man.
From 10 to 58.
We got some years to fill in there, Dave. So let's talk about you work for these financial giants.
Mm-hmm.
And I know you don't want to mention their names, and that's fine. But what did you do? I mean, what was your role with were you an accountant? I mean, what was
God no.
What was
I love accountants, by the way, but that is so not me. Like I couldn't sit. I can't sit. If you know anything about me, I can't sit. Like people talk about Netflix and stuff. I'm like, what's that? You know, like
right.
That means you actually have to sit down.
Yeah.
So I got accepted at this bank in this program. They realized that they had a gap in leadership in their organization.
Okay.
So they were looking for bright. Yeah, I don't know why they picked me, but yeah, they were looking for bright people who did well in school, who had some leadership experience, hence the Air Force. Okay.
Yeah.
That could come into an organization and rise to a leadership role quickly within 18 months. Mm-hmm. So they put me in all these different departments and train me with all these different, I talk about it in my book, bosses and leaders. And just to see how I fit, where I fit the best. And I went into leader. Actually, I beat the 18. I was within 12 months leading a team. And so it just went on from there. And then I became kind of a guy that was willing to relocate, willing to take over a new department or a department that was having challenges, and go in and really just and be the fix-it guy. And then they'd move me to something else. And then I ended up actually, believe it or not, this is so not me, but we trying to change the way it was run. I ended up going internally into the organization and running the field audit department.
Jeez.
And that's a whole interesting conversation right there, just on how that happened, because generally auditors are the people that come in after the war and kill the survivors in organizations, right? And I remember the CEO calling me in. They had this private lunchroom, and he's like, I knew I was up for something. Like I knew I got called in for something, and he's like, Dave, and his name was Dave as well. He goes, I want to offer you a promotion, but I think you're going to be shocked by what I ask you to take this time.
Wow.
And he said, I'd like you to take over a field audit. And I was like, oh my God, everybody hates those guys. I had to deal with them out in the field. But he said, he goes, I need your attitude in audit so that these folks are welcomed as a partner when they go out to the different divisions and the different branches and stuff like that. So people don't necessarily hug you when you come in, but they don't turn their backs to you and you work as a team. So that's what we did. And it was kind of cool experience.
Wow.
Yeah.
So you did this for, you said 21 years?
Yeah, I went in, I also spent some time in mortgage banking in that arena.
Okay.
And then I decided to get out. I got out at a really good time. Like I got out a year before with a really nice retirement package, because the next year most people got out without a retirement package because they were forced out.
Oh,
so once again,
07, 08, 09.
08, and once again, another blessing in my life. The timing, my thinking, my mindset, wherever I was at that time, I just, there were some people that thought my decision was crazy until about 18 months later.
Now, it sounds like you attribute a lot of this luck, we'll call it, to God.
Absolutely. First and foremost.
How important of a role do you think that has played along the way?
Well, my mother and my grandmother and my mother were devout Catholics.
Okay.
Like there were weeks I went to church 6 days.
Oh, geez.
Sometimes before school with my grandmother, like 6:30 mass, and then of course Saturday night or Sunday, right? And I was an altar boy.
Wow.
It was funny. Been doing a Zoom call with my sisters lately, and they brought that up about how your kids, you'd play things at home. Yep. I used to play church, and I'd be the pastor all the time.
Wow.
Yeah. So they just brought that up a couple of weeks ago. It made me laugh so much because I remember I would take the missalette from church and I'd bring it home, and I would, do mass. Like,
wow. That's incredible.
People don't know that about me.
So you did this for 21 years, and then so that's what the age of you couldn't have been very old, 40 something.
My early 40s. Yep, 44.
What happened after that? I can't believe you're 58. I'm still a little bit shocked about that. But where'd you go from there?
Well, a couple of things. I was blessed at that time because I did really well, and I still act like a poor kid even today. By the way. Do
you really?
Yes. Even with
I can't tell from your house behind you. It looks gorgeous.
I'm in my Hilton Head place right now, but once again blessed, right? So I've always been that poor kid. So I've been a saver, and I did well. So it was easy for me to come out and say, okay, let's figure out what you're going to do. I wanted to try working for myself and building my own brand.
Yeah.
I had opportunity, so I knew I could go back. So I did have kind of that. I had safety nets. I had the financial safety net. I had the safety net of, hey, you're in your 40s and people will still hire you. But I wanted to try something different. I had been following Tony Robbins even in my corporate days. I ended up getting a connection to him, a very strong connector to him. So I got to spend a little private time with him. And of course, I had to fly to Fiji to do that. But I was willing to. That wasn't so bad. And there
must have been a terrible trip.
Yeah, there was opportunity for me there. And I decided that told me that I could go do this myself.
Wow. And
then I just sought out some other mentors, one that we share, actually, and now he's a friend of both of ours. Jeffrey. Gittimer.
Oh yeah, Jeffrey.
Yeah. He was one of the three people I actually went to when I left corporate and said, here's what I'm thinking about doing. What do you think? Now I won't tell you his responses on a live like this, but
well, he would,
he would. But it's been, I chose mentors, and let me tell you, I spent money to meet with mentors. It's not you have to be willing to invest in yourself, right? And these investors, they value their hour, and I'm all good with that. That's what I do for a living now, so I'm good with that. They help me a lot. I gave a lot of credit to the man above, but also the people that I've chosen to into my life to mentor me as well.
Yeah. Well, I just sent Jeffrey a text. Let's see if I can get him on here to start maybe goading you or something.
Uh-oh.
So you went over the Tony Robbins thing a little bit quickly, and I want to talk about that for a minute, because I remember I was born a poor child as well, and didn't take the path you took. I took a way different path. But I do remember at about 21, 22, maybe years old. So about around 30 years ago, maybe a little less. I don't remember, but I read Awaken the Giant Within. That book landed in my lap somehow. And
that's the first one I read.
It rocked my world, because and the one thing I remember is him talking about flying through San Diego in his jet helicopter.
Yeah.
And I was like, what? Who owns a jet helicopter?
Yeah.
And then like he talks about hovering over a building and realizing that it had only been 10 years earlier. He was like the head janitor of that building.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
And he's like, and wow, I realize how things can really change, and so when you went to Fiji and hung out with Tony, what changed? Did anything shift for you? And I mean, you said you realized you could do it on your own also, right?
Yeah, I think my beliefs shifted.
Okay.
I think I shed some of the limiting beliefs that I could actually go out and do this, that I could be a brand, that I could be successful outside of the corporate world.
Yeah.
That's the biggest piece for me. It's such an easy question to answer, because I shed some things that were holding me back. And most people at that point would be like, what's been holding you back? Everybody has a different perspective. I also learned that. I learned the whole different perspective thing there too, because I wasn't the only person there. There was maybe like 10 of us. And
yeah.
It's some really neat, unique people from all over the world, and a couple of big names. Of course, I was nobody then. I still consider myself not a big name, but I shed some limiting beliefs, and I really learned how to look at other perspectives and honor other perspectives. And doesn't mean I have to believe in those other people's perspectives or follow those perspectives. But here's the thing, is that in this industry, in the coaching industry, if you try to coach only from your perspective, you're a lousy coach.
Yep.
Okay. And you still might be getting paid a lot of money, by the way.
Yeah.
I just won't do that. I'm open to I'm helping them with their perspectives. I'm not trying to pour my perspectives on them.
Right. Right.
And so I learn a lot about, I shed some limiting beliefs, and I came out believing, I can do this.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean I follow all that stuff. I love what Tony does. I've been to many of his events, still follow him. It's not my style. I'm more of a quieter type. I do a lot of the same things, right? Yeah. I follow a lot of the same rituals, I call them, and try to help people build those rituals in their life as well. But that's not my style, being big and bold and out there,
yeah.
I really like the smallness of my business sometimes.
Yeah. If you like being quiet, say yes. And that him say yeah. Say yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
He's definitely he knows how to hold a stage for sure.
I thank God for him. I mean, he's really started this industry that I'm in.
Yeah. Right.
Now that's a whole different conversation where the industry is now. We have some time.
Yeah.
But
it's a little bit changed.
Well, the bar to entry couldn't get any lower. I hate to say it, but anybody can become a coach.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and that's true. And they're everywhere. They're everywhere. But so after the Fiji deal, you come back to the United States and you had a fire, I'm sure. I mean, how could you hang out with Tony and not have some kind of a
Come back
like
up.
serious fire going on?
Mm-hmm.
And where'd you go from there? You reached out to get him, or is that when you reached out to Jeffrey?
He's one of the people. And
Okay.
and I still tell him today, man, he gave me a lot of advice.
Yeah.
And some I didn't follow. And a lot I did follow. The number one thing he told me, and he reminded me via text of this the other day because he saw me slacking in this area, is he told me to start writing.
Yeah.
He told me to start writing. Hey, Brian.
There's Brian.
He told me to start writing. He said, I don't care. Find a rag that will let you write in it weekly.
Yeah.
And so I did. And what I didn't realize is that rag owns 21 newspapers.
Wow.
Well, I had a weekly column called Ask Coach Dave.
Wow, that's awesome.
And I would entertain questions from people via email, and then I would try to answer it via a column. And it was popular. I still have Ask Coach Dave. I don't write in papers anymore, but I still use Ask Coach Dave often. And so that got me started. And then, John Maxwell is the the mentor who challenged me to start writing books. Right. And so
you connected with Maxwell as well.
Yep. I searched out and connected with John, and I actually worked with the John Maxwell Company as a coach and a speaker and a facilitator. And then, as you know, the John Maxwell team now, which is different from the John Maxwell Company, I was one of the founding partners of that organization, still very active in it. And that's probably close to 30,000 certified coaches, speakers, and trainers around the world now.
I'm actually, I don't follow John Maxwell, just for the record. So I'm not familiar with the John Maxwell team or companies. So I'm not sure I know the difference, but what is the difference?
Well, John Maxwell his company is John's company. Okay. And that's, hey, we go out to corporations and we coach and speak and do things, facilitate things. The John Maxwell team is about developing people as coaches, speakers, and trainers.
Okay, got it.
If you want to be a coach, speaker, or trainer, you can join the John Maxwell team. You'll be trained, mentored. You can go to events and things like that. And look, we don't need to talk too much about it here, but if anybody is interested in that, surely just reach out to me, askcoachdave@gmail.com. And I'll talk to you, answer any questions for you. It's a great organization. It's constantly growing. I think 160 countries we have coaches now.
Wow.
It's crazy. John's in that whole legacy area of leadership right now.
Wow.
This is a great piece for him to leave what's already a great legacy.
So you got involved, and you said you were one of the founding partners of
So basically the first year, right? Anybody who really joined immediately in the beginning, you were considered a founding partner.
Got it.
And it started small, and now you go to some of the events now, the certification events. There's 3,000 or 4,000 people at a clip there now.
Jeez.
Yeah, they're crazy events, man. They're like,
wow.
It's a fun event.
Wow.
You'll have a lot of people. You'll have a lot of people that have been, certified and part of the team for a long time that go back, and then you have all these new folks that come in. So it's a great mix of experience and people new to the team.
That's pretty cool, man.
Pretty cool family.
So how long did you, or are you still?
I'm still active. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I'm not as active as I was, there's a lot of other people there. There's some great leaders in the organization. And I have scaled back quite a bit in my life.
Yeah. I mean, you're getting so old.
Yeah, I know.
I'm kidding. That's a joke.
I feel like 4 years from now, I can start collecting Social Security, right?
Yeah. And I'm sure it's going to help you a lot, but here's, I think that let me just be real, man. Cause that's who I am. Your life sounds so easy.
Oh God.
I know. Well, dude, give us some dirt.
Oh yeah. So like, I know anybody that knows me is watching this going like, wait a second. It sounds like he was on a rocket ship, not a roller coaster.
I know it really
Oh my God, dude. Oh yeah. I mean, I've failed marriages. I have, I mean, I've stumbled, man, like everybody, right? And I always go back to my faith to get me back on my feet. I will tell you, I have had hellacious years in my life.
Have you?
Some people, my hellacious years, they look at it and go like, that's not hellacious, right? So I try not to make a big thing out about it. I don't talk about it because I only talk about it when it will serve someone.
Right.
Okay. It's kind of the whole thing I say. I used to say on my website, I don't think it's on there anymore. It's like, if you're going through something or thinking about going through something, chances are I've been there, done that, got the t-shirt.
Yeah.
Right. So when there's an opportunity for me to help someone with my story or my challenges, I'll do it. Publicly talking about it, I generally don't, because it doesn't serve me or really doesn't normally serve anybody else. But yeah, I've had my challenges. I got to tell you that I could tell you, I believe emotionally, and this is a big out for me since you're asking me, I would say emotionally, 2019 was probably the most challenging year for me emotionally in my life.
Wow. Really?
It was also the most blessed year in my life.
Wow.
I got closer to Jesus Christ than I've ever been, and I thought I was pretty close.
Wow.
I got closer to my family than I really feel like I had been in a long time. And I just feel better, man. Like, I feel like I'm the healthiest I've been in my whole life at 58, which, I was having that conversation with someone yesterday.
That's incredible though.
Yeah, it's like, I'm going to go back to being blessed and just staying, I don't know how much time we have left, but
we got as much time as we need, man.
Okay, cool. And I love to help people, like my coaching clients, talk about their values, right? And I will tell you, people, if you can cement your values and don't make your values about what society tells you they should be, okay? Yeah. I like to teach this. I'll give you mine really quick, because I really think I know this helps people, because I help people with this every single day, whether it's one person or an audience. And I love acronyms. I love acronyms because I don't have a great memory, but if I can remember the acronym, I can talk about it. And so I stack my values, my top 5 values, vertically. Okay. Kind of like a ladder. Okay.
Yep.
And they spell out the word faith. Go believe that. Right. Imagine that, right? They spell out the word faith. So my values are wrapped in faith. Okay. So it's family, accountability, integrity, time and trust, and health. Now, if that was a building, right? What's the foundational value?
Faith or health.
Health.
Yeah.
That's exactly right. So I just build a strong foundation, and it makes the other 4 values so easy to live out. Okay. And that's why I talk about health a lot. And a lot of people go like, yeah, I see you running all the time. I see you on your bike. Yeah, I know you do 500 crunches. I know you're doing this and that and all that. It's not just about physical health. It's about emotional health. I just talked about my last 2019 emotionally was a bit of a train wreck. Okay. But I grew out of it. And without my values, I wouldn't have grown out of it. And so you make your spiritual health, your physical health, your emotional health strong. It just makes those other values so much easier to live.
So first off, what was the T?
Time and trust.
Time and trust.
The one commodity you can't get back. And that's one thing hard to rebuild.
So I wrote all those down. I love that acronym. So right now, especially, I mean, this is the first time in the history of the world that I think the entire world went on lockdown. So sorry, it just seems bizarre. I mean, it's the most bizarre thing ever. But like, there are people that maybe they aren't good savers, or they didn't have enough access to save or whatever, and they're hurting right now. they're not sitting on enough cash to get them through or whatever. What do you say to those people that are, I mean, the suicide rate is like 10 times what it was right now.
Yeah.
People are taking their own lives as a result of this what we're in the middle of. And what do you say to get through to them if they could afford to hire you as their coach? What would you say?
Well, first of all, I'm taking some of them right now that can't afford to hire.
Love that.
I'm going to go back to values. Like, what do you value? That's what I ask them. What do you really value? I've got someone that I coach that values really fancy cars and multiple homes and has had a challenging couple of years. And I've helped that individual change what he values. Okay. It's all about what you value. What do you value? And too many people, and myself included, sometimes value the social stuff so much, right?
Yeah.
And I think that is causing a lot of depression in people, because like people will listen to this and they're going to be like, oh my God, this guy's not real. I get that a lot. It can't be that good.
Right.
But one of the biggest blessings I ever had was growing up poor, because it's made me, it's taught me values, what to value, what not to value. It's kind of given me I ask myself questions in my head before I act. Is this the right thing to do? Is this going to serve me? Is it going to serve others? And I think helping people today, I try to go back to the basics with them. They call it blocking and tackling, right?
Yeah.
But really, most people will tell you they have certain values, right?
Right.
I do this with audiences all the time. I'll say by show of hands, how many of you, when people ask you what's your top value, you say family? 99% of the audience will do it, and I'll go, you're all lying. And they'll go like, oh, well, they already hate me, right? But they're listening to me now. I have their attention.
Yeah.
The next thing I say is that, what good are you to your family if you're unhealthy?
Right.
Right?
Right.
You're no good to your family if you're unhealthy physically, mentally, spiritually. What help can you be? Okay? And so we're programmed to say certain values. What I try to do is help people pull them out. Turn off the noise. Like, what do you really value? Because I don't care where you are in your life. If you're working your top 3 to 5 values every single day, you're feeling better about your life. Okay?
Yeah.
I just don't, if I compare myself, which I don't, but I do look at other people in this industry that I'm in sometimes, and people are going like, yeah, you're sitting in a house on the beach in Hilton Head right now.
Right.
Yeah. I will tell you, I could have bought a place in Hilton Head a lot bigger. I'm 4th row. I'm not 1st row. I could be 1st row if I wanted to be. It's just not me. It's not that kid. It's not that poor kid.
Right.
And I'm fine with it.
Yeah.
I'm fine with it. And but it comes down to your values. And that's the piece I believe missing in most people that are struggling. I almost don't like to say this, but I'd love other people to get there. And I know there are other people that I've had zero stress around this the last 2 months. What I stress about is where we're going to go as a world, because of the control and the way I've seen people become sheep over this.
Yeah.
And that's what I stress about, if anything. And I don't really stress about it. I always go like, if it gets too crazy, I'm just going to find some little island somewhere, and smaller than Hilton Head, because Hilton Head's 10 miles. But
right.
I joke about that. Say, well, I could just I can run away, right? I'm not going to, but it's a little scary from that aspect. We need people from a leadership perspective to really step up and lead themselves well, be a great example to other people, so people feel comfortable with going to move forward again, right? And not being, you talked about the word stuck, okay?
Yeah.
Being stuck sucks.
It does.
But for some people, it becomes the comfort zone. And I'm fearful right now that a lot of people are going to get really comfortable being stuck.
Yeah.
Okay. And we support them in the stuck mode for now.
Right.
And there are people, I won't get politics wise, there are people politically that want people in that condition. And I will just tell you, whether side you fall on, it is not a healthy condition for anybody.
Well, I think though, and my buddy Joe Ingram brings up a great point here. You know, I think, you know, I was I think a lot of people are programmed, man. I mean, you know, Don Miguel Ruiz talks about it in the Four Agreements. He talks about the you know, the programming of the human, how we're programmed to believe our religious values, our everything, right? And so the people that are stuck, like Cindy just said, you know, she missed a C there in the word.
All
Those autocorrects. But you know, the people that are stuck, that aren't living on Hilton Head, that maybe are living in the poor part of Long Island or the Bronx or wherever, that they're stuck right now and they don't know what to do. They don't have the mindset of, I'm just going to go out and shovel snow or mow yards or do whatever. What do you say to them? How do you get somebody out of the mindset? Because you know, and I know that it's a mindset, right? You've got to have a shift mentally. What do you say to them to get them out of that mindset?
I don't say anything to them. I just ask them questions and listen, and then I talk. So first of all, you know, do you want to change?
Right.
Are you willing to change?
Right.
Are you willing to invest in yourself? And I don't mean financially. I mean time. You know, are you willing to seek advice? Right. You know, it's interesting now that we've connected offline. I'm going to seek your advice on something because, you know, I found something out about you the last couple of weeks that I want to seek your advice on.
Yeah.
I seek advice all the time.
Sure.
All the time. That's why I have all these mentors in my life.
Right.
Right. They've been there, done that. I'm behind them.
So reach out. You're saying
I will. I definitely will.
No. What you're and yes, we'll talk, but I'm saying you're saying to people, you need to reach out. Don't stay stuck.
Yeah, if you need help, don't stand along the side of the highway with a sign. Okay?
Right.
Reach out to help. Right?
Yeah.
People love to be asked for help, right? Like people love to be asked for help. Okay?
Yeah.
Just ask. Yeah, you might man, I've had some people tell me no.
Yeah.
But if I went through the list of people that I've invested in mentor-wise, like right now, you'd be like, okay, Maxwell's pretty big. Okay?
Yeah.
#1 leadership guru in the world. Gitterman, we both know he's big too. He's done pretty well, right? Tony Robbins, right? I could go on. Larry Winget. You know Larry Winget?
He's been on the show. Yep.
Yeah, you know Scott McCain. Okay. Those two guys, I've invested in both of those guys.
Yeah.
Okay? They're mentors to me. And I'm grateful for them. I'm not going to hide that.
Yeah.
And that's the pride gets in people's way too. And that's why they say stuck and comfortable. The pride, like that's something I've just kind of like gotten rid of. Like, right. It's like a lot of people will say, a lot of people think I'm conceited.
Really?
And that's because they confuse being conceited with someone that's convicted.
Yeah.
And I'm convinced.
I love that.
Right? There is a difference. I'm not conceited, I'm convinced. And I'm convinced that I was able to dig out of quicksand back then.
Yeah.
Why can't I dig out of it now if I'm in it? And so if you're in it, if you're one of those people that are in that quicksand, you've got to reach your hand out and ask for help, because people aren't walking around looking for people that are stuck in quicksand.
You know, along the journey here, somewhere along the way, you decided to write a book, and you've mentioned your book a couple of times. First, when did you write your book? Second, why? What's it? What boss?
Boss or leader? Are you leading? Are you leading for a living or living to lead?
Love that, man. So what was the what made you decide to write a book?
Well, John Maxwell challenged me, right?
Did he?
Yep. And so I rose to the challenge and wrote the first edition. It did pretty well. And then 2 years ago, I wrote the second edition. I'm in the process of writing another one right now. I'm actually getting ready to release an ebook um, in the next 45 days. And so,
Wow.
And Jeffrey, it was interesting that I mentioned Jeffrey mentioned something about writing the other day. So I wrote myself a little note. It's sitting over on the counter right now. It says, "Note to self: write."
Love it.
But that's how the
Yeah.
mentors interject themselves every once in a while, right? But yeah, it's called Boss or Leader. And actually, to the audience, I'll give you a promo code for 50% off.
Wow.
Yeah, why not? If they're willing to sit here and listen to us, I'm willing to give them the book at 50% off. You have not on Amazon though.
Where do they go?
They go to my site, livingtolead.com, livingtolead.com.
Livingtolead.com.
/books.
Oh, hold on.
Thank you for doing that.
/books.
And I'm going to give you a promo code too.
Okay.
When you check out, the promo code is P as in perfect, E as in entrepreneur, 101.
Right there.
And they'll get 50% off.
Is that it? PE 101.
Yes, sir. Perfect. Thank you.
Sweet.
Yep. 50% off. It's a great gift. And by the way, I wrote this book at about a 6th, 7th grade level. So it works for all ages. There's no cuss words in it. It's very, very simple. And it's set up for a book to you to read as a resource guide. So after one chapter, there's some questions in there. And at the end of this book, you're going to see the kind of boss versus leader that you are and decide how you want to change that.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's awesome, dude.
Yeah.
So what's next for you? What's
well, people talk scaling, they usually talk about growing, right?
Yeah.
I've been talking about scaling for the last 3 or 4 years of my business, and it hasn't been about essentially, it's not growing in numbers. It's not growing in number of clients, number of speeches, number of CEO groups I lead, things like that. It's been first about me growing again, personally, to see what is going to come out for me and my organization, what I can do for people. And so, I love my one-on-one coaching business.
Yeah.
I'm doing a ton of it on Zoom and phone now versus I used to do a lot of it face-to-face. I traveled all over the world to see my clients.
Wow.
Okay, which was great. And I still will do some of that, but I've really changed that the last couple of years. Had nothing to do with COVID-19. Anybody that knows me and my mentors and my coaches, I have 2 coaches, know that this has been a process for me, like everything for me. It's been something I've weaned down. I had one point 3 years ago, I was carrying a coaching load in excess of 120 coaching clients.
That's awesome.
Unheard of in the industry.
Yeah.
And loved it. And I started scaling back and just started working smarter, not harder. And so there's some people that think I hardly work now. If they follow me on social media sometimes, because I don't really sell coaching on social media. I don't really sell coaching, period. Most of my business is referred to me, thank God, again.
Yeah.
And so I share more of my life on social media, and a lot of that people see me running or riding a bike or at the beach or reading a book or cooking. I share my food on social media and so, but I'm very active. I just I'll go back to my value of time. I don't manage my time. I prioritize my time.
That's awesome. So are you're winding down? Is that what you're saying? You're scaling down a little bit, or?
No, I've just scaled the way I do business. I'm not winding down. I'm actually excited. I've got a couple of things I'm working on. A lot of opportunity exists now that we've kind of succumbed to this, whatever you want to call it, because I'm not convinced that it's all about a virus, but a lot of things, it's going to change a lot of businesses.
Yeah.
And so as a coach, I wonder, how do I support that?
Yeah.
Right. So people are going to, people are going to need coaching services a little bit differently now.
Yeah.
I'm really working on how I can offer that to my clients. One of the things I've done in this is that, and I've seen a lot of coaches out selling like crazy right now. If you go, I haven't sold anything. Now I've had people buy from me lately, but I haven't sold anything. I think it's a time for coaches to really be giving rather than taking right now. That doesn't mean we don't deserve our value. I just believe it comes around. But I think there's going to be some opportunity because businesses are going to change and people are going to need different kinds of coaching. It's all leadership coaching because leadership begins with you, right? I go back to the question you asked me, what do you tell these people that are stuck and feel like they don't know how to ask for help and get it? It's like, that's what I go to them. Leadership begins with you. Where do you want to lead yourself to? And how are we going to do it? How are we going to get you there? Because really coaches come alongside people. Like I don't push people and crack a whip on their back. And I also don't stand in front of them and pull them. I challenge them by being on their side, like next to them. John Maxwell calls that leading across in a leadership direction. If any of the audience has read the 360 Leader, you get that. It's called leading across. Coming next to someone and helping them, not only create their vision, but actually, go out and help them get it. Yeah. And that's kind of what I do as a coach.
That's awesome. So where's the best place for everyone to follow you?
Well, obviously my website, leadingthelead.com. If you go on my website and of course give me your email address, which by the way, you would get an email from me once a month at the most. So I'm not one of these guys that emails people. You'll get some options on free gifts. There's a free ebook there. So if you go to livingtolead.com, you can do that and start following me there. Of course, I'm the Leaders Coach. Ask Coach Dave on LinkedIn and on my Facebook business page. I'm out there on Twitter. Ask Coach Dave.
Yeah.
It's and I
told Gittimer too. I told Gittimer's wife. I mean, she's got thousands of followers on Twitter, 30, 40,000, and she doesn't use it. I'm like, you got to use Twitter. What are you doing?
Yeah, Jen. Come on, Jen. If you're listening, Jen, Twitter.
So I ask everybody this, and the number one answer is always fear. So you have to do better than that. And that is, what do you think, in your opinion, what do you think keeps people stuck?
Lack of faith in themselves, in a higher being, in themselves, in their potential, in other people, and in really what it does is it's funny. I just posted something about this yesterday, the day before. Is that you're making excuses.
Say it again.
You're making excuses. It's really not fear. It's just you making excuses that actually make you more fearful, right?
Yeah.
We all know the acronyms for fear, right? Face everything and rise. The first thing you got to face is the person in the mirror.
That's true. That is true.
And I face it. Look, I do these things. Like everything I talk about, I've either been through and I still do it. I don't call them habits. I call them rituals. And that's really one of the things I help clients do is really create rituals around their values that is going to propel their business, their life, their family, everything that's important to them in their wheel of life.
Yeah. Joe Ingram wants to know, if you were a pirate, what would your pirate name be?
It's funny. It's funny. I met a buddy of mine yesterday. We just opened up in Hilton Head yesterday, so you can go out and get a drink or dinner now.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So I met a buddy of mine. He's got a detached retina, so he's having surgery today.
Oh, geez.
So he's going to have to wear the black thing over his eye, right? So I was telling him, hey, we're going to call you Pirate.
Yeah.
Well, it's interesting you brought that up. I don't know my pirate name. Oh man, that's a good one. I don't know. Like
I normally just ignore Joe Ingram.
I love good leaders ask great questions, right? So that's a great question. Joe, I might have to get back to you on that one.
Joe's a good dude. He's a good friend of mine. So and I feel like you've already answered this, but I'm going to throw it out one last time. Again, there are people right now that are struggling to buy food for their children. There are people that are that can't pay their mortgage or their rent or their car payment. Maybe, you know, they've had a car repoed or their electric's being shut off or whatever. If somebody is afraid to reach out to you, they're afraid to reach out to somebody, they're stuck and they're living paralyzed in fear right now. And I don't know if you've ever been there, but I've been there many, many times in my life. Paralyzed. What words of encouragement can you give those people that are watching right now?
Okay. So let me just, before I give those words, let me just tell you, I have been there before. Maybe not financially, okay, but emotionally. I just shared from last year, right?
Yep.
What's the first thing I did? I roll out of bed every day and I land on my knees.
I love that, man.
It's not to beg, it's to pray and increase my faith. So I would tell people, whatever you believe in, start on your knees, and you'll rise up. And that's not just my belief. It's happened to me many times. So yeah, you look, this looks great right now. Yeah, right. I got the palm trees in the back, and I got the screened in porch behind me and all that. And but it hasn't always been that way. And there's not a day go by that I don't start on my knees.
I love it, dude.
I say this often, don't pray when it rains if you don't pray when the sun shines.
Right. Amen, man.
Right?
Amen. Yeah.
And it's never, and honestly, and without, it's never too late to be saved. It's never too late to be saved. All you have to do is ask.
Yep. Love it, man.
If you need help, reach out.
Love that.
I'm not an expert on it, but I'm working on it.
I think you know what you're doing. Dude, thank you. I appreciate you taking the time, coming on and sharing your wisdom and experience.
I've enjoyed it, man. Thanks for having me. And I'm looking forward to growing deeper in a relationship. So
likewise.
Definitely I want to reach out to you in the next day or two about something.
Well, don't hang up on me. I'm going to end the live stream, but I do want to say everybody go to livingtolead.com/books. And if you use the promo code PE101, you will get 50% off of Dave's book. It's awesome. So thank you, Dave. Appreciate you, man.
Thanks for having me. Likewise.
All right. We'll see you guys later. Thanks so much.